some nice time-lapse content of getting my fletching level up to 80. I have about 37,000 experience to go. And we're going to cut some maples for a good portion of this. Cutting maples, I know it's not the quickest way. I could just buy some broad arrows and finish it off, but I'm trying to pinch a penny or two for now. And cutting maples, fletching them, dropping them is pretty classic content, so it's like, how could you beat that? Although I guess fletching broads is also classic content. So yeah, I will structure this as another sort of structured time-lapse ramble. And then at the end, I will likely gear up for some Commander Zilliana, because I will have unlocked my Dragon Bolts. I'll make myself some pies to boost, and I will hook myself up with some Diamond Dragon Bolts. It seems there is someone under me chopping this maple. So, okay. I got my Armadyl Crossbow last night, as you saw. It's awesome. I'm super pumped. Which is the whole reason we're going for these fletching levels here. You know, I also, as a side note, quick, you know, I don't think that I ended up getting the job that I interviewed for, but the period in which we might find out is not totally over yet. However, if that does go through, I am definitely going to invest in probably a microphone with a noise gate and also a new mechanical keyboard, as this one is super old and not totally ASMR friendly anymore. You know, the switches are not lubed. It's a little clanky now. It's just not the best keyboard for AFK. I mean, for ASMR. I could use a nice, small, duck, reduced-size mechanical keyboard or something of the sort. Doesn't need to be RGB. I don't even really use the RGB feature in this keyboard, except I make it pink. I think the pink looks really nice. It's more of like a slightly pinkened salmon hue, which it just plays really nice, I gotta say. I'm honestly surprised all the lights work too. Nowadays, it's actually somewhat of a rare keyboard because it has that weird Corsair insignia, the tramp stamp, as people called it, which just did not look good. The actual Corsair sails, as in like the wind sails on a ship, looked so much cleaner, and I'm glad they went back to that. In fact, the mouse I purchased at some point after the keyboard, like years after, was a Corsair, and it had that nice wind sail on it, so clearly they were bullied out of using the tramp stamp, which, I mean, hey, it's, you know, it's the consumer's choice. I don't really think anybody liked the tramp stamp. It was kind of confusing as to what it was even supposed to represent. I think it was just sort of I don't say a marketing gimmick, but like maybe poor market catering to the rise of, I don't want to say edgier, but sure, for lack of a better word, slightly edgier companies in design, like such as what Razer was using. However, honestly, a lot of products that are geared towards games, especially PC games, are like overpriced, especially audio equipment. Don't ever purchase. You know, Sennheiser HD650s for my headphones, and I have a Blue Yeti mic, so I can't really speak because Sennheiser HD650s are like $650. I'm sure that model is still sold. I'm not sure if it's sold at the same price, if it's cheaper, if it's more expensive, possibly. I have no idea. But when I purchased them years and years ago, actually I was still in high school, so I got them for Christmas, right? It's just, this was over 5 years ago at this point, 6 years ago almost. Because it was late high school. They still work better than ever. I haven't had a single cord issue. Obviously don't have any issues with the motors. I fucking sat on these headphones multiple times. My boyfriend, who is not a twig and cachectic like I am, has sat on my headphones multiple times. And I'm talking headphones, I'm not talking IEMs, earbuds. So yeah, it's a solid piece of equipment there, but I digress now, get a little far into the ramble sphere. I gotta say, one thing I was rambling about before I realized that I wasn't actually recording any of my audio is that I woke up with a pretty killer headache. Like, I woke up to the headache, which is pretty atypical for me. Headaches are severe enough that I gave, and I'm like, okay, it's time to take some NSAIDs, Tylenol, Advil, whatever. And I'm hesitant to take them because they can take a little toll on your GI tract, especially if you have an extremely sensitive one like myself. But today I woke up, I immediately popped Tylenol even before brushing my teeth because it was just that bad. And it's eased up a little bit. I'm not really sure what brought it on. The weather is a little overcast today. I mean, that could be it. There's definitely seasonal allergies at play where I am right now. And there are just some really tender spots. Ooh, I'm hitting one right now, actually. Some tender spots above my temple, which is interesting. Still, I suffer from headaches, pretty rare, and migraines very seldom, and that is typically how it goes for someone, or for the migraine condition. If you have like an actual condition of experiencing migraines, you tend to experience them at a rate that is hundreds of times more frequent than the average person who does not have this condition, as someone who does not have a migraine condition, which I do not, by the way. Many of the women in my family do. You will still get migraines likely, but it will be a once every couple blue moon sort of deal. You will maybe get them once or twice a year, maybe even less frequently. When I was younger, I definitely was only maxing on average one migraine. Probably one migraine every year and a half. And that was that. I never get them in clusters, but some people who have an actual migraine condition, like my mother, my father's sister, and my mother's mother. It's funny how that's jumped through my family line. They will oftentimes get them multiple times a month, and oftentimes in sometimes a cluster, where, like cluster headaches, which is another condition, its own condition, you'll have periods of remission and then acetaminophen, I should say. Then you start to get into some pretty nasty medications, frankly. I mean, there are ones that are lighter on you. You have ones that work in a stimulant like caffeine, which has been shown to help a lot of people. But, you know, in some of these medications, you have barbiturates, which are tranquilizers. And hey, not everybody handles tranquilizers equal, right? Maybe it doesn't even help, but either way, it's pretty heavy on the body. Tranquilizers are hardcore central nervous system depressants. They're not gonna like put you under or you know, put you into a state of like a propofol, you know, blood level. But you never totally know how this stuff will impact you long term. And what sucks is that, you know, once you're in the boat of needing this stuff in the first place, it's like, you know, if it helps, can you really get off of it? Should you even get off of it? I mean, these are questions that aren't even necessarily answerable, especially not for everyone in the longer general case. So it's a complicated issue, and I guess my point is I count myself pretty blessed that migraines and headaches are not an issue that I experience by and large. My issues are mostly gastrointestinal, and frankly, if I had to choose between severe GI symptoms like I deal with and severe headache and migraine symptoms, something along the lines of what my mother deals with, or maybe something worse than what she deals with, I don't even know which one I would choose. And that is a disturbing thought, because I would do a lot to not be dealing with the GI issues that I deal with. And part of me is a part of me is a little grateful too that okay, well no, I'm not grateful that my GI symptoms are not really treatable via medication. It's my worst symptoms are flare-ups, which is an intestinal-based pain. And if you're not dealing with spasms or cramps in the intestines, then where the pain is coming from remains pretty ambiguous. So there really isn't any pill to take to target pain. If you had a more visible, albeit really nasty, underlying condition like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, which are inflammatory bowel diseases, then yeah, you would take medications regularly to help combat the underlying issues, which normally you'd be taking steroids and other immunosuppressants via infusion, like every month or every 2 weeks or something, to make sure that you don't swell in the first place. But once you do swell, once you actually start undergoing that inflammation, or worse, you see like a serious mucosa breakdown and you're bleeding, which is a horrific thing for anyone to have to go through, then there's not much to do. In those cases, you have to enter a very serious regimen, oftentimes starting off in a hospital, some inpatient facility, where they will pump you with way too many steroids and try to combat a very acute episode of inflammation, especially for Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune disease, whereas ulcerative colitis is in like this weird middle ground where they don't consider it to be an autoimmune disease, and they consider it to be semi-curable in the sense that ulcerative colitis often causes inflammation and a sort of gut rot or breakdown of your mucosa and intestinal wall, very specific region of your intestines. And so, I guess theoretically what happens in a lot of these cases, this might be really disturbing to some of you. I'm sorry if you're not aware of this stuff, but I'm just going to get into it because I'm assuming most of you are older and you kind of learn about this. When you're suffering from kind of like an irreparable area with ulcerative colitis and even Crohn's, but with ulcerative colitis, you go in there and you just simply cut that section out of your intestines. You totally remove it and you stitch your intestines back together as if, you're cutting out, as if you're cutting out like a little middle piece of broken stereo wire, like 12 gauge wire, and then you solder it or just tie it back together in the middle. Then you have no broken bit, and you have a little, connection, and everything works fine. For ulcerative colitis, this, from what I've heard, is oftentimes like a cure. You won't develop colitis elsewhere in your intestines, or it wasn't previously. I know that's kind of paradoxical, because then you can ask, well, okay, how did this one section of my intestines even become affected in the first place? Why could it not start elsewhere? I'm not going to offer any explanations to that because I really don't know for sure. My intuition tells me that you can still develop colitis elsewhere, but it is not like Crohn's disease, where you will be developing colitis possibly anywhere in your digestive system, all the way from your mouth to, the very end of your GI tract, at any point, at any time, and without restriction, which is terrible. I mean, that is a nightmare. That's why I always, whenever the topic of Crohn's disease comes up, I always, mention that my heart really goes out to people who actually are struggling with Crohn's disease, because I am not. I suffer from I suffer from what I guess I would reduce to being like a baby version of what inflammatory bowel disease is supposed to look like, based on what I discussed with my GI and whatnot, where the pain is there, especially during my worst flare-ups. I have very, very heavy lingering pain, which is not characteristic of IBS, because IBS is a wave of symptoms that is oftentimes solved by, an actual voiding of your intestines. When my intestines are voided in the case of extreme flare-ups, it's very hard to tell, and I'm usually pretty KO'd for the rest of the day. Without too great a relief in my symptoms, and during my worst flare-up ever, it was extremely difficult to even tell when it was over. I don't know how long it lasted, although my boyfriend might be able to tell me, because I forced him into the bathroom while I was experiencing it, because it was just so much. I thought this was surely it. This is definitely the time that something actually happened in my intestines, and I'm gonna need to go to the emergency room. And I did not go to the emergency room. However, I absolutely would have if not for the fact that COVID had just started and I was down in North Carolina with him, which is not where we live. So I was too far. I was way too far. I didn't even know where my wallet was in the house. There was no shot. I was going to have him call 911 and get an ambulance sent over to the house. Especially because that's the other thing. You couldn't fucking pay me to get into a car or to even move out of the bathroom during that flare-up. There no shot whatsoever. It was that bad. I mean, I couldn't even envision myself being put on a stretcher. The thought of being touched in any way, not just my stomach, but being touched and moved worst flare-ups I tend to get like that, where I will, obsessively envision myself having to change positions to do this or that, and it makes it so much worse because I know that I cannot undergo that sort of movement. I would just not. I can't handle it. The pain is incredible. I mean, walking is impossible. Straightening your back is totally impossible. See, I'm sorry everyone, this is what happens when you wake up with health issues. I tend to not be fixated on the best of topics for ASMR relaxation. That's kind of a trend with my the wake and sleep schedules. I will wake up oftentimes not feeling great, and I will go to bed feeling usually at my peak for the day. Which, again, just is a weird thing to try to understand. For me, not for you, but for my own understanding of how my life kind of operates. It's weird. It's interesting. A long time ago, I'm trying to remember the Canadian YouTuber's original name. It was a lithium something, and he was a mental health YouTuber, and he talked about his experiences with bipolar. I started following him when I got my bipolar diagnosis, and I went on lithium when I was a freshman in college, and that helped tremendously. Being on lithium, even though it wasn't a totally permanent thing, in fact, going on lithium is never a permanent solution, as it wears your kidneys down very gradually, and at the end of a 25-year mark, most doctors are obligated to actually take you off because you are older and you're in the range of dialysis already for your kidneys, and you're pushing yourself towards that little renal failure borderline, and you don't want medication to be responsible for this person being sent into renal failure should anything else come up. Say this person develops an illness that attacks their kidneys. Maybe, I don't know, where I'm from in New England, Lyme disease is pretty common. I'm from, not where I am now, but I'm from the Lyme disease capital of the entire world. That oftentimes can settle in your organs, your kidneys. So, say you get older, you're already on dialysis for lithium, and you're taking lithium, then you get sick, maybe you get dehydrated, you still take your medicine, and now not only are you entering a sort of lithium toxicity, but you're simultaneously experiencing organ damage from a disease. You might just fucking die, right? I mean, we're not talking about a nasty hospital trip, we're talking about very potentially just passing away, which is intense. I know I got really off topic here trying to talk about that YouTuber, but he has lithium in his name. I started talking about lithium, my own experiences, etc. But I don't actually remember what I was going to bring up about him. It's a very disjointed ramble. I'll probably still upload this. just letting you know that some of these topics may not be inherently relaxing. That was actually nice. It just took me a second. It just took a second to hit me that I just got a UC from that bird's nest. That's nice. See, we're getting pretty close to finishing up this fletching level here. So I'm just typing, helping out X-Bear X. They're asking me some questions. I guess since I'm sort of running out of ramble topics. Not running out, but you know, I guess I'll wrap up sort of the health ramble there. I think what I'm going to do is probably purchase the rest of the arrow tips quick. Finish it off. Let's see. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Dude, I have 4,000 mithril arrow tips sitting in my bank. Where did I get these, my guy? What? What the fuck? Yeah, I could have been using these. Those are my levels right there. What did I just do? I cut down all that maple for nothing. Okay, well, I do need some headless arrows. Let's, no broads. I guess let's do this. Let's put our money away. Let's put the Cromsha gloves away. Let's get our knife. Let's cut one more inventory of maple logs here. We'll do some maples and some yews just because. Fletch those and then we'll be all set. I think it's only a 15 arrow difference between each tier of logs. It's not crazy or anything. And so yeah, I'll probably I will cut my audio recording here and I will line up the video to match when I end up grabbing my arrow tips, or my dragon bolts rather, and I'll probably gear up for some Ziliana. I guess I'll record it and I'll just make this kind of like a little update video. This would probably have been a more appropriate chance to try to record my Ziliana relaxing bossing. What I'm contemplating doing is maybe reshooting that and uploading it as a relaxing bossing, maybe 7.1, I don't know, and this way I have a slowed down small window footage of Ziliana, because that's you know, my usual format. It's also my format to talk real time about it, to hear the clicks, etc. However, I did not I didn't do that for Ziliana, so it might be worth this ramble will just have been me fletching. I really know how great that content is visually. Obviously, watching fletching is pretty boring, even if it is made a little bit more satisfying by the time lapse. So yeah, I'll cut my audio off here, but to you, it'll be nice and normal. Okay, everyone, here we are. Let's get this level. And then we have to go make ourselves some pies. I'll make them on camera, because why not? Hey, incredible. Okay, so let's see here. Let us get into some sort of drip outfit here. Yep, looking pretty good. Okay, so let us hit the Lumbridge because we need to buy some materials. I think actually, yeah, that's gonna be I'm sorry, you guys actually cannot hear game sounds right now. I don't believe. It's because I have a headache. I'm actually lined into my IEMs, my in-ear headphones. So the pressure from the Sennheisers are, a little much. I don't think I could just use this on water, right? And I don't even know why I thought that. I'm just gonna make one pie for now. I think that should be enough. Do I just use this? How does this work? Okay, that is how it works. I know I can bake pie to have a 100% chance, but I'm just gonna risk it now because I just want to get this out of the way quick. Awesome, very, very awesome. So let's go do this here. Okay. Wow. one. There we go. Okay. So let us turn on our anti-drag. Well, let's see here. Let's also get some diamond tips. I actually just made a bunch of adamant diamond tips, which sucks. But not too many, I guess. I mean, I have a lot of diamonds saved up from, I believe, Gorillas dropped them, and I get a good amount from Forgot, so yeah, it's not like I'm running dry or anything. And yeah, I'll have to make them all while I'm boosted, so we'll do that. We should also do some rubies if we're going to hit the forecast. We want ruby bolts. However, I might be able to use all my adamant ones. But yeah, okay. So let's do this here. Good fletching XP. I would click on my mouse, but I don't think that is very ASMR. much think of the Armadyl Crossbow as a, you know, a 20-30 range strength bonus because it opens up your option to use Dragon Bolts in the first place, which is a much bigger upgrade than something like Anguish, which is one of the reasons I'm just so hype about this. It also opens your ability to use the other types of special bolts, because normally their range strength is too weak. Let's actually, oh no, that's it. Sure, let's use off some of these while we have the boost. Okay, amazing. Very amazing. Put these feathers back in here and we can deposit these. Alright, and let's just enchant these. I don't actually know. I don't have enough cosmic runes. Oh, wait. Ah. I didn't notice that. Soul, okay. We do have ourselves some souls. I know these can be one-ticked. I don't know how to, not that I don't know how to one-tick them, but I'm not very good at it, so I don't bother. So yeah, overall, I have a lot of Dragon Bolts. I could definitely use more. I'll probably fish for maybe a 4-cap task and take that time to kill him while getting some XP. Let's finish these off, okay. Overall, yeah, I think 4-cap is going to be my biggest special bolt dump. He requires quite a bit. Ciliana is not really that bad in terms of the bolts that you use. I'll definitely bring in some Diamond Dragon Bolts. Okay, everyone, and that wraps up my little Diamond Bolt. A Diamond Dragon Bolt. Fun time. And that's just looking sweet up there. In fact, let us. Whoa. Let's just replace. Okay. Yep. Alright, and this bank tab is looking sweet. So I was gonna record some Ciliana. I'm not gonna do that right now because I have a bit of a headache. Just want to zone out. So I'll probably do some of that off screen.